Let's take a look at traffic forwarding and source IP anchoring. So why would we need to do this? So there are plenty of applications on the internet which restrict access to a customer provided IP address. Generally, these are legacy applications that may have been configured or deployed many years ago, where the customer may not be aware of the access control list that is restricting their access to this platform. So when they migrate to a cloud service edge deployment, their IP address changes and then they're not able to access that application. So we need a policy construct to provide that static IP address back to that application, which is dedicated to the customer. There might also be applications like Office 365, which need a level of step-up authentication based on the user's IP address. So, for example, the user is now a roaming user, they're protected by the Zero Trust Exchange. We want to drive a user experience where the user doesn't need to do the step-up authentication to access O365. So by providing that source IP anchoring, we don't need to do that. And then there might also be applications which are geofenced. So I get a different experience accessing, say, a news website if I'm in country versus if I'm out of the country. So providing that IP address that exists in the country means I get that content in the format that my users are expecting that content in. So with this capability, I can selectively decide which applications I want to pass through Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange and provide the source IP anchor. That source IP anchor is provided by a Zscaler app connector from the private service edge platform. So the user makes a connection to the Zero Trust Exchange. The Zscaler Internet Access Framework provides all of the TLS inspection, data privacy inspection, data loss prevention, all of the advanced threat protection before making a decision to forward the traffic through the app connector, and the app connector egresses the traffic to the internet, providing that source IP anchoring. As with any app connector deployment, you're going to deploy multiple app connectors for resilience. So this supports web and non-web application traffic. So I can pass any traffic from my client connector device through the Zero Trust Exchange, apply my security policies, apply the TLS inspection policies, then pass it through the app connector to egress onto the internet for web, SSH, RDP, any of those application traffic out to internet applications as well as SaaS applications. So key components to think about: the traffic forwards through to Zscaler Internet Access. Zscaler Internet Access has a policy construct to know which applications are going to be forwarded through ZPA. ZPA makes the connection using its inside-out connection to the app connector, and then traffic egresses the app connector to those applications with the source IP address of the app connector. And so you'd make a policy decision to only do this for applications which require the IP anchoring or to pass through this flow for other reasons. So how do we deploy this? Within the Zscaler Private Access Administration interface, I create an application segment, I define the FQDNs or IP addresses for that source IP anchor, and I enable the flag source IP anchor for that application segment. By enabling that flag, it means that that application becomes visible in the Internet Access policy construct. I'm then able to define a server group and connector group association for that application segment, which means that when a user accesses it, it'll be specific app connectors that are used for that source IP to egress that traffic flow. And then I'm going to create a client forwarding policy to ensure that the traffic is steered towards ZIA before ZPA. So the client forwarding policy makes a decision that says, which applications does the client connector know about? And we have to explicitly exclude this application from the client forwarding policy to ensure the user doesn't connect directly through Zscaler Private Access. We want them to connect through internet access, and internet access makes the policy decision to forward through to Zscaler Private Access. In the Zscaler Internet Access Administration interface, we can then come into the private access segment and we add a gateway. So a gateway maps the application segment to the server groups capable of passing that traffic. So under policy and forwarding control, we make a forwarding policy decision to forward traffic to Zscaler Private Access based on the conditions that we make, whether it's for a user, an application, a source IP, and then the destination is the application segment and the ZPA gateway that we've defined.